Hello, it's me. How y'all doing? I hope you're having a great day. I'll let you guys get in here. I'm excited about our live on today. I'm excited about our guests. So go ahead and just wait with me for just a second. Let some people get in here on the gram. Let's get on in here, good people. It's taking a minute. Yep, well, our special guest for today is going to be someone who's very knowledgeable. Here you guys go. Very knowledgeable about the home buying process. Again, my mission is to inform and educate those who do not know but are curious about. And so today we're going to be discussing the home buying process, but from a different perspective. Last time it was more so from the realtor perspective and what's going on in the market now. This time it will be from the from a mortgage broker. So we're going to get a lot of information and it's going to be good. So get on in here. Yep, yep, yep. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. So while we wait for our special guest, who is here? Yay! Yay, yay, yay. So, like I said, our special guest will be answering some questions today about more so of the home buying process and his role in the home buying process. And we're going to get some good tips. So, here he is. We're connecting.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for joining. Everyone,
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for the invite. I apologize for my tardiness. I am not an IG Live expert by any means.
are, are any of us, honestly, nobody is. We're just all like winging
I've
it.
been called a lot of things. I don't think anybody ever gonna call me that.
The IG live expert. Well, get with me and I'll teach you what I know. I don't know a whole lot. I'm just learning as the days go by, but I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's very informative, especially because a lot of people can't be out, doing workshops and things like this. This is a good way to connect with the people. So again, thank you for joining and bringing your expertise on today. I'm so excited. So forgive me, guys, if I did not before I gave him salutations, but I wanted to welcome Mr. Edward Foy, who is a mortgage broker, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Mortgage broker. Okay. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, how'd you get inspired to help people in this way?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I've been in sales for probably over 20 some odd years now. I started doing telephone sales. I ran some call centers in Orlando, Florida, and Houston, Texas, and quickly realized that although, it was a means to an end, it wasn't what I wanted to do as a career. And I happened to bump into an old friend of mine who had a friend that had just kind of gotten into the mortgage business. He's like, this would be right up your alley. You already, have some experience selling, and it's a great way to help people. And it didn't take me very long to fall in love. I've been doing mortgages since what, oh 03, 2003. So yeah, it's been a wild ride. Very exciting. I think most of us in real estate and mortgages and related fields, I think most people probably gravitate to it because they hear or see about people being successful and making money. And don't get me wrong, that's great, but um, to see people light up when they get keys to a new home or a home they never dreamt that could be a possibility, kind of reminds you why you love what you do. I mean, again, the money's great, but it's so rewarding to be able to help families and people, achieve that little piece of the American dream of home ownership.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes me think of how, like you're changing someone's lineage, like they've never, maybe they're the first home buyer in their family in a couple of generations, what
Mhm.
does that do for their kids? What does that do for, the future for their family? So that is definitely a reason why I got into real estate because, like you said, to see how people get excited about their new places and their dreams like come true. Like that's so awesome. And I'm so thankful that you have that passion because it'll, rub off on others.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to get into some questions with you today. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know I told you that I wanted to keep it right around 30 minutes, so I'm not going into your evening with your family. So I'll start with the with some questions. Okay, so some people don't necessarily know what a mortgage broker is or like where you fit in the home buying process. Could you explain a little more about that?
I'll try to, yeah, condense it or give them the cliff notes.
Okay.
So a broker, as opposed to, let's say, a direct bank or what's often referred to as a retail lender, um, a broker has the ability in most cases to shop multiple lenders and multiple options, whereas a bank, let's say like a Quicken Loans or a Chase Bank or any of the larger well-known mortgage banks or lenders, only have the products that they have, right? So I'm able to shop many of the aforementioned banks and probably many more that a lot of our listeners may or may not have heard of, and kind of extend to them the cream of the crop as far as offers. Now, 9 out of 10 times, we're going to have preferred lenders that might be, and there's ebbs and flows. So one lender might be pricing best at one point, and then things will change. But also that goes for niche markets. Let's say we have an investor who's looking for a fix and flip, or we have a foreign national, maybe somebody that's not a United States citizen and wants to purchase a home. You're going to have different products that maybe your everyday retail lender or bank will not service. And my being a broker gives me the ability to look at other available options that a direct bank might not offer or have the ability to shop for you.
That's
So it's
pretty
not
cool.
only from a pricing perspective, which obviously is important, but also a product or underwriting perspective. It gives them more options to look at what else is out there in one centralized
place.
point, i.e.
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get to you're like the personal shopper for everybody. You get us the best
Sort of,
deals,
yeah. And
loans.
most of the lenders that I do business with, I also have what are called correspondent lines,
Oh,
which essentially means that initially I'm going to lend that money directly. So our company is going to facilitate, originate, and fund that loan.
okay.
So that also gives us more flexibility in pricing, as well as the products that I mentioned earlier. And with the market being what it is now, you know, it's
Crazy.
crazy. There's a lot of I've never seen anything like it in my 17, 18 years doing this. I've never quite seen such a competitive seller's market. Uh,
Everybody is
I
saying the exact same
yeah,
thing happening.
I had a client that put in an offer earlier this week, and there was 21 offers on one house. 21 offers. Um, so yeah, it's crazy. So something else that really sets us apart from some of the bigger banks or retail lenders is speed.
Okay. Okay.
Sometimes not only a competitive price, but being able to, in a multiple offer situation, say, hey, what if we could close this in 15 days?
Yes, and
You know,
that's
I
key.
know you've got a lot of offers out there, but what if I could tell you that we could get this closed in 20 days, 15 days? Does that, make things sound a little bit better? And I have a few deals going right now that was kind of the kicker. That was what put their offer over the top.
Wow. I actually have a question about that. So I watched a live or maybe a YouTube video, and it was just on some tips on how you can um like can FHA or VA loans compete in this market that we have now. So with you saying that you guys have the ability to kind of escalate the process, at least make it where you are closing in 15 days, how would that something like that work with like an FHA or a VA loan where it kind of takes a little more time, or does that even matter? I just kind of wanted a little clarity on
That's a really
that.
good question. That's a really, really good question. And don't get me wrong, with government loans, FHA, VA, USDA loans, there are some underwriting guidelines that a government loan has that a conventional loan does not. But
Mhm.
I think there's a very common misconception that an FHA or a VA or a USDA loan is somehow
Lease.
slower
Yeah.
or not as good. If I'm being honest, if you were to look through my loan log and my historical closings, I think last year I just finished up some reports and I was probably at a 60-40 split with conventional versus FHA. So about 40 to 45% of my loans were government loans, and then the other 60 were conventional. Um, Typically, most sellers, I think we could agree, if they have three of the same offer, one is an FHA loan, one is a conventional loan, and one is cash.
Hmm.
Most, assuming the same amount, most people are going to gravitate to the cash for the
Hmm.
speed and simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Second would probably be the conventional, and then third would be the government. But what would be interesting is to find out why, right? I think we all know why the cash would be, but to
Right. Yeah.
really sit somebody down, the average person, and say, why'd you pick the conventional over the FHA? And I think those answers would be enlightening, because 99% of those answers are really non-factors in many cases, at
Yeah.
least through my experience.
And like
Um,
speculation, they just kind of think, like you said, they think that it's
yeah,
going to be slower.
right. It's government. It's slower. They're
Hmm.
going to nitpick. I have not experienced that. FHA loans are closing just as quickly. Um, I think some of that idea comes from, okay, well, if it's an FHA as strong of credit, and then the speed things might kick in. But again, that's not always true. You know, through my experience, my government loans, especially VA loans, I mean, first of all, I love helping to give back to veterans,
Yes.
which is a great reward in and of itself. But I don't see, and I challenge any of my, counterparts, competitors, anybody in the mortgage or real estate space. I'd love to hear their opinions, but I don't see a better loan out there than a VA loan right now
Yeah.
as far as pricing and what you can get. The no MI, the interest rates are crazy low. Um, so yeah, I mean, we're closing those really fast as well. So
Okay.
I think again, there might be a little bit of merit to some of the concerns, but from an overall speed, efficiency, etc., we're closing government loans just as quickly as conventional.
That's good to hear. That's so good to hear because I'm telling you, like people, I'm thinking maybe that's why sometimes offers aren't accepted. And so
Right.
it is a little discouraging for people who get approved for those loans. And they kind of feel like, oh, well, I'm not going to get approved because they think it's going to go slower, especially in this competitive market. But it's good to hear that they are still closing. That brings me to mind, like you already said that you guys can get all of these loans. Like I was going to ask, what type of loans do you work with? Do you work with like all of them? Like you know what?
Um, I mean, technically, and I always tell, I work with a lot of agents. I try to network with a lot of different people. So I always tell people, hey, if you see something that we haven't talked about, because I'm a broker, because I have warehouse lines, if it makes sense and I'm able to access the product, hey, I'm all for it. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, we offer, if you've heard of it, chances are we can
Mhm.
do it. Government loans, FHA, VA, USDA, conventional, all the basic regular products. And then we have foreign national loans, ITIN, which is a tax ID number, um, fix and flip, even some hard money stuff and commercial. So yeah, if it makes sense and I'm able to provide it efficiently,
Mhm.
then I'm all for it. Now, if something pops up and let's say you call me and say, "Hey Eddie, I've got such and such deal on the table. We need to close in 30 days." If I have a doubt that that's going to happen, I'm going to be straightforward with you and say, "Hey, look, I can get it done, but here's how it might go. Do you still want?" I'm gonna try to do my best to set realistic expectations. So again, with your, I don't know if cookie cutter is the right word, but
Mhm.
with your basic 640 and up score borrowers, conventional FHA, your regular type loans, we're pretty much closing all of those in 21 days or less, some of them in 15 days or less. And
Okay.
we even have an appraisal guarantee where if we don't get an appraisal back, again, there's certain criteria that needs to be met, and I guess I can somehow put that in in this when we repost it. But
Mhm.
640 borrowers and up, if we don't have an appraisal back in most cases in 10 business days or less, we're going to get you that appraisal fee back.
Okay.
So yeah, so that doesn't necessarily help out your seller,
Yeah.
but obviously the appraisal companies, the appraisal management companies that we're working with that have agreed to this, they don't want to continue to have to cough up that money. So it
Mhm.
motivates them to meet those ETAs, those estimated times of arrival to get those reports back. And that's really the only reason I'm telling you 15 days. If I
Yeah.
didn't have to wait on an appraisal, we would be doing 10 and 12-day closes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I hear you talking about credit scores, things like that. People would like to know, okay, my score isn't a 640. Can people still get home loans with scores under 640?
Absolutely. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, I've got a few of my lenders that have now, because prior to COVID, and I'm sure you may have seen lots of different lenders offer down to heck as low as 550 in some cases.
Wow.
Um, Most of the lenders that I work with would be at around 580, and then when COVID really became a big issue in the States, a lot of lenders raised up or made their guidelines a bit more stringent. So you saw a lot of those 580 requirements raise up to like 620 to 640. But recently, I've had a few of the lenders that I deal with open up the gates again down to 580. So
Wow.
yeah, and even if you're not quite there yet, I always try to say, you're not going to hear me say no, maybe not right now, but here's how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking to somebody that isn't quite ready yet, I'm not going to just leave that conversation there. I'm usually going to have a roadmap. Say, hey, here's how we can get to where you want to be.
Okay.
And we work with a great network of professionals, credit repair people, you name it, who are going to help get motivated people on track. And I only say that because, I think we all have, my wife teases me. I say I'm going to go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. and I don't quite make it at 5
No.
a.m. So sometimes we fall short of those goals that we have. And the same goes with people that are have a desire to fix their credit. An idea is great, a plan is great, but we got to put that, into action.
Yes.
And for those of you out there listening that really want to do that, we're here to help you do that.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes what stops people, or like you said, or what keeps them from being motivated is just that fear. And someone like left comment that said people just need to be educated about the total process. That's exactly what it is. Like, people have no idea, they're fearful. So for myself, it always helps me just to kind of know what to expect. Can you explain what would be expected? Like, if I have a buyer, I bring the buyer to you,
Mhm.
and they want to get qualified, like what does that process look like from coming to you to actually getting the keys?
Great question. We try to make it as convenient as possible. So there's a number of ways that one could initiate the process. Um, Matter of fact, I think I may have, and if I didn't, I will be sending you a link to an online application where, they can just click and it'll walk them through, starting their home buying process.
Okay.
Fill out a quick application, can usually be done in 5-10 minutes, right from your bed or wherever you are with your laptop, even on your phone. um, and then once you're done with that, you can even upload your documents right there from your phone. Typically what we're going to need is for income, you would just need your 2019 and 2020 W-2s, your two most recent paycheck stubs, and
Okay.
then a copy of your most recent account statement, or basically 60 days of whatever account your down payment would be coming from.
Okay.
Once I received notification of the application, we would do a soft credit inquiry. And that's important to understand because you mentioned earlier that sometimes people are fearful. And a
Mm-hmm.
legitimate fear is, if I have people pulling my credit, my score is going to drop. And that's actually true. A hard credit inquiry can drop your score anywhere from 2 to 10 points. And although there have been laws and rules put into place to kind of hampen that a little bit, is that even a word?
I know what you mean
kind
now.
kind of slow that down, or soften the impact of that. I think there was a law passed 10 or 15 years ago that stated if you're pulling your credit for the same purpose, whether it be purchasing an automobile or a home, that it should only count as one inquiry. And
Yes.
that's true. That is a rule. That is a law. Just like running a stop sign is illegal, running
Mhm.
a red light, drinking and driving. All of these are laws, but sometimes things happen. So I always tell people, if they're serious about purchasing a home, I invite and applaud getting comparisons and shopping, but be careful about having people pull your credit. And that's something that I try to practice what I preach. So when I'm working with a buyer or somebody that wants to refinance, when I start that process, I'm going to do a soft credit inquiry. And the difference there is that it does not impact your score. So it'll
Okay.
give me most of what I need to determine your qualifications, but without dropping your score. And that's a good benefit in starting that process. We do the credit pull. I make a phone call, maybe fill in any blanks that we're missing on the application. If everything looks good, then I'm sending you your approval letter and you can go shop for a house.
Hmm.
Just that simple.
That simple. That simple. Okay. And so that works whenever we are just going to you to get pre-approved. And people need these pre-approval letters because I know these realtors are not just driving around unless you
Hmm.
have some pre-approval. So the pre-approval process, we just heard that it literally could take what, 15 to 20 minutes if you have all your
Yeah, I
things
mean, if
updated.
I've had lately, I'm very thankful. I've had a few recent contracts where these people were just ready. I don't know if they had done it before or they're just really good about having. I mean, they applied, all the documents were there. I was able to send out, if you send me everything I need, I don't see why. Now, sometimes, like if you're self-employed, you've got multiple businesses,
Mhm.
or you have a variable income. Sometimes things might take a little bit longer. We have to make sure we've got all our calculations and numbers right. But if you're working a W-2 job, you've got stable income, no fluctuations, no gaps, nothing that needs to be really explained. Yeah, there's no reason why we can't get definitely a same day approval, and in some cases as quickly as, 15, 20 minutes. And again, you
Wow.
bring up a good point, not only because an agent doesn't want to be, none of us want to waste our time, right? And including
Mhm.
a buyer. A buyer doesn't want to waste their time looking. They might think, yeah, I can go look at this house without a pre-approval. But once you realize, oh, that house isn't going to work out, or maybe it would work out, but you weren't ready and you
Mhm.
fell in love with this home. And because you weren't ready, you lost it to another buyer that was ready.
Yeah.
Um, it's important to all parties involved that you have that approval letter before you start looking at homes, especially in this hot Houston market.
Wow.
Um, because if you find a house that you like, trust me, there's about 10 other people that like it as much or more than you. And
Waiting
some of them are
outside
ready.
to come check it out, right? They're like waiting outside to come check out your home. So
Yeah,
you
yeah. I've seen a lot of people posting pictures of open houses where people are waiting in line outside of the house just to get in and take a peek.
it is so crazy out there. So, guys, you hear that? If you're in the market, you need to be ready because your pre approval process could easily take 15 minutes if you have all of your documents and everything is able to be analyzed really quickly. Then you could be walking away with a pre approval. I appreciate that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we talked about like 15-day closings, those are possible. What do you think about down payment? That's another thing that people are like freaked out about. Are there
Mm.
programs that you work with that could like help people who need down payment assistance? What does an average down payment look like? What do you say?
Yeah, so most conventional and government loans, FHA loans, FHA, you're typically going to be looking at about a 3.5% down payment minimum. A conventional loan, as little as 3% down payment. VA loan, as I mentioned, in my opinion, one of the best loans out there. You can get as little as no money down. A USDA loan, also zero down payment. And yes, there are a number of down payment assistance programs available that can help in some cases with most of, if not all of that down payment. Now, depending on, where you are as far as credit,
Okay.
assets, I think a lot of people will hear about things and get excited, oh, wow, I can get this assistance. And yeah, that's great. But in some cases, it might not always be the best for everyone, right? There's
Mhm.
no one size fits all when it comes to this. And that's why I try to make sure that although something might be available for you, I want to make sure I give you some options because the last thing we want to do is have you, because you were excited about something at that moment and you did it, 5 years later, you realize, wait a second, by doing this assistance, I might have paid a little bit more. And
Oh,
had I not done it, I might have gotten a lower interest rate, etc. And again, that it might not be the case for everybody.
hmm
You know, I always I always tell people when I'm explaining this, the first automobile I bought, I paid a 17.5% interest rate. I look at that
yeah.
now, yeah, I look at that
I feel like
now,
I did
I'm
that
like,
too.
My last three cards, I paid a 0% interest rate, but
Yeah.
I'm in a different space now.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I needed a car. I didn't have many options, and it got me where I needed to be. So the same can be said with down payment assistance. In some cases, I would say 9 out of 10 times, I'm going to pick buying over renting if I'm given the option. And if
Okay.
it takes down payment assistance to help me reach that goal, then as long as it makes sense, let's do it. Now, if on the other hand, you have your down payment ready and you don't necessarily need that assistance, and maybe getting the assistance might cost you a little bit more in your interest rate or over time on that loan, I'm going to show you those numbers. And if you still tell me I want the assistance, well, great. It's your decision. It's your money. But
Yeah.
you ain't going to tell me I didn't tell you about it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm going to do the best I can to educate and to show you the pros and cons. And if you like it, I love it.
Yes. So you work those numbers so that we're getting the best deal. That's the great part about working with you.
Try to
Right.
try to do, yeah.
Yes. Good. Good. Okay. When it comes to, this is going to be my last question because I feel like you've been very informative, but I don't think that we've talked.
Is that a nice way to say I talked to you?
No, no
I'm kidding.
way.
I'm
That's the
kidding.
purpose of this. That's the purpose. Like, we need you to talk because we want to know, like, you're the plug. So that's why I reached out because, I mean, in working with you already, I've been able to learn so much. And so I feel like, what good is it to me if I don't share that with others? And it's been
I
a good,
appreciate that.
yeah, of course. So whenever we are getting pre-approved, there's a term that kind of like, what's the difference in those two actions?
Okay, so right after you said there's a term, and I don't know if it's me or you, but it froze. So I
Okay.
missed.
Okay. So pre-qualification
Mhm.
versus pre-approval. What's the difference in the two?
A very, very good question. So I'm gonna give you a short and a somewhat longer answer.
Okay.
And this goes back to something else that we have not quite touched on, but deserves a little bit of attention. So the long and the short of it is a pre-qualification is okay, your originator has looked at these things and based on that says that you are qualified. And that can be a very wide spectrum of things.
Okay.
I've seen, I'm not going to say any names, but I've seen some letters sent out from different companies that are extremely misleading and disingenuous, where it'll say that this person is qualified, but then as you read the fine print, there'll be little boxes at the bottom and say, I have reviewed, boom, boom, boom. And none of those boxes will be checked. So they haven't seen the income, they haven't seen the assets. So basically, they saw the person's credit. I think a lot of that has kind of, as the market has heated up, we're starting to weed out some of those characters. But yeah,
Okay.
the long and the short of it is a pre-qualification has not been reviewed by an underwriter, and a pre-approval has been reviewed by an underwriter.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I said that that deserves a little bit more attention is because if I'm being 100% honest, a lot of people in our space are probably calling pre-qualifications pre-approvals.
Absolutely.
And not only is that misleading, but you could get, you can get in trouble for that by an audit. But also it boils down to your source, right? So I tell people, I'm like, look, I can get you a pre-approval. I can send your file to underwriting and get it back. 99% of the time, I'm sending a pre-qualification letter and I've yet to have an issue. Because what usually happens is people are going to look at the source, right? So if I have a habit of sending out pre-qualification letters or pre-approvals for that matter that end up crashing and burning,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be known pretty quickly. right?
Okay.
Especially if I'm doing a lot of business. Well, I'm probably not doing a lot of business if that happens.
Yeah.
But if people experience that, they're going to talk about it. Um, so I always tell people when they're shopping, because naturally people want to get the best deal. I say, make sure that you're doing a little homework on the source.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could tell you all day long, yeah, I got the best rates in town. I'm going to get you the best deal, no question. Okay, well, I mean, right now we're talking on a device I'm holding in my hand. I can literally ask this thing any question I could imagine and have an answer in seconds. So
Mm-hmm.
why not take the time to do a little homework on the person you're going to trust with one of the biggest investments in your life,
Yes.
right? So I
Yes.
tell people, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to do what I can to help you to get you the best deal, but don't take my word as gospel. Look me up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what most agents are going to do when they see a letter with my ugly mug on it. They're going to say, okay, let me check this character out. And most good agents are going to call me too, say, hey, I got your letter here. How's this borrower, etc. And that's what I try to make sure that all parties know when we're working together. You know, I'm not in the business of just shooting paper out. If I send a letter, chances are, that's going to close, and it's going to close on time or ahead of schedule. And don't take my word for it. Look me up. Look what other
You're
people have to say about me. And I'm not trying to come across cocky. I've
right.
worked hard to get a lot of good reviews from my clients. And I like to think that they don't do that because I asked them to. They do it because they had a good experience. And hopefully that will comfort others when making a decision on who they want to trust, such an important process with.
Yeah, it is an important process. And that's what I feel like people need to understand, especially when you say, look me up. It's like, I feel like the whole process is it's a collaboration. And so don't
Yeah.
leave all of that work on, the realtor. Like for the buyers, you need to understand who is processing your large purchase, and, who you are having to deal with something this important. So I appreciate that. That's good. And people need to be able to look into things on their own and not take someone else's word, especially with
Yeah.
this sort of market right now. Um, so we have gone over the time. Unless you have time to answer more questions, I don't want to keep you if you have other things
We
to.
could do a few more if you got some
Okay,
more.
I got some more. I got
My
some more.
stomach growling though. I gotta go eat pretty soon.
Okay, I asked you two more questions. So, like can you go into a little more depth about approving in-house? I feel like you said something about that. Do you guys have the ability to approve in-house where you are?
I didn't. I did talk about
Okay.
warehouse lines, which is related. But I don't have in when I hear the term in-house, I'm thinking literally they are in my house or place of business
Mm-hmm.
where I could walk over and tap an underwriter. So I
Yeah.
don't have that. However, I try to, again, although I could work with a multitude of lenders and have in the past, present, and future, um, I also try to make sure that a lot of my core business stays within a small circle, right? So I have over the years built relationships with underwriters, upper management, senior level executive, etc. So I would guess, and I don't want to assume, but I would guess the root of that question is again going back to speed, efficiency,
Mm-hmm.
etc. So yeah, I try to make sure that, again, although I want to keep pricing very competitive, I also understand that in some cases, when people are given the option, I say, hey, look, here's an interest rate that's, I don't know, an eighth of a point lower, or they're the same interest rate, but this might cost you $500 more,
Mm-hmm.
but I can close it in half the time. What do you think? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a no-brainer for a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll spend the extra 500 if it's between me getting and not getting this house. Cool, let's do it. If
Yeah.
on the other hand, if you need that, then we also have options for that. So yeah, I don't physically have underwriters in my office, but
Hmm.
I do have quite a bit of time and sweat equity invested with a lot of the people that I regularly work with, and that can many times result in some files moving a bit faster than they would otherwise.
Okay, so you built up a strong network of individuals to work with over the years.
Yeah, and again, I try to make sure that the people that I work with,
Hmm.
I think we're all human, and I'd be a fool to say that I've never made a mistake. Things happen.
Hmm.
What really shines for me personally, and I look for in people that I partner with, is if and when something does arise, are you gonna, number one, own it, and number
Hmm.
two, do your best to make it right?
Yeah.
And that's the team that I always try to build, and the people that I try to continuously do business with. You could be the best at what you do, but if you can't own a mistake, or if you can't acknowledge something that could be fixed, I don't want to do business with you,
Yeah.
because that's going to fester and grow, and I don't need that. I'm getting too old.
Yeah, and it affects your business, and when you're working in partnership with someone, you want to be able to, you guys have the same buy-in, like if
Yeah,
you're helping me, you're helping me because you want to help, and
yeah.
we're
And
both.
that's huge with us. And you as an agent, you're kind of the host, right? You're just like here, you're the host, you're the face of this transaction. I know a lot of times you might, from your clients, get questions that are probably for me or for a lender.
Mhm.
But because you're there, and you're the one who is spending the most time with our clients a lot of times, um, it's really a testament to how it is a team. We might not physically work in the same office. We might not get our checks from the same people all the time, but we are a team. And I think that's very important because, you know, if if I don't if I do well, then hopefully I can make you look even better. And if I do bad, you're gonna own that too, because that's your guy. You
Yeah.
referred that guy, and look what happened. So I always try to tell people, again, it goes back to kind of doing your homework and look at the people that you're doing business with, because it means a lot, especially in a heated market where those little things can make a big difference.
Yes, could ruin a whole deal for you. You walking into your favorite space and you want it and you're not pre-approved.
Mm.
You want someone who's going to be quick about it.
Right.
And you've proven that you can be. Okay. So if someone is looking to be pre-qualified in this season and they want to use you as their broker, how do they contact you?
A number of ways. You can call me directly at 281-304-6353.
Okay.
You could visit us on Instagram or Facebook. I think most of the social networks, you could search HomeEcNet, which is HomeQNet,
Okay.
and you should find me. Um, you can go directly to our website, homeecnet.com, and apply directly there. And again, I'm going to pass you a link directly to the application. So call, email, text, DM, whatever's convenient. We try to make it as easy as possible.
Yes, yes, and it is easy, guys. And if you need a realtor, look look out to
Yes.
me, and I'll be shooting you over to Edward so he can get you that quick, fast service that you guys want. That is like so needed in this season, guys. The houses are flying off the market. Literally,
They
things that I
are.
showed last week are not available anymore. So we want to be quick about our decisions. If home buying is in your future, make sure that you reach out to one of us to kind of get your home journey kick started, and we're here for the knowledge. I'm so thankful that you joined on today. I'm thankful that you were able to share your expertise. I can't wait, and I'm excited about our work together because you are very knowledgeable, and I really appreciate your time on today. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I just want to thank you. It's funny that you happened to reach out because I had been kind of following you. I've been a fan of your
Oh,
posts, and
okay.
yeah, you really I try to take a little bit from everybody that I see. So I know I need to tighten up my background and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love what you're doing, and I really appreciate you reaching out, and I look forward to us growing and building together as well. So thank you so much, and thank everybody for tuning in. If you guys need anything, please feel free to reach out, and I think I can speak for both of us when I say we're happy to help in any way we can.
Yes, we are. We're so happy to help. We want to help. We need to help. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much tonight, Ed. I'll be following up with you soon. Thank you for joining, guys. And of course, reach out if you need us. You guys have a good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.